Hello everybody, I'm going to be doing a challenge that one of my friends, Jesus Christ, recommended. Subscribe to him and my other two friends, where I conquered the US, and the world, and then Ohio, because Ohio sucks. Now, I didn't conquer the world, but I conquered a lot of stuff, and I conquered Ohio last, so, well, yeah, it works. Subscribe. So we start off in the Washington D.C. with Herbert Hoover, where with his Logic 100 moment, I have to then demand. We got tanks, we got industry. We pleaded for the military industrial complex to give us money and stuff, industry. Then we got Norman Thomas to help us with politics, because socialism is what I decided to do, because you can demand the subjugation of people, which means I don't have to declare war on everyone. Yeah. Anyways, we called for Daddy MacArthur to help us and establish the Minutemen, which gives us free troops. And with those free troops, one tank division I deployed, and some guns, I steamrolled Maryland. Like, it was not hard at all. It was really way too easy. Yeah, yeah. And that victory impressed Pennsylvania so much that they became my puppet, and that convinced Pennsylvania so much that they became my puppet after I established socialism with them. I also demanded Delaware and New Jersey to become me. Delaware complied, but New Jersey is a little bad boy, and I had to beat them up after I got Pennsylvania as my forced friend. Then afterwards, I annexed Pennsylvania. Well, not after the war. The New Jersey War, well, wasn't as easy as I would have liked it to be, but it wasn't hard. Yeah. So now you have the Great Depression and growing pains. Looks like the entire country falling apart is not the greatest thing for the economy or an administration. Yeah, we fully went into socialism. We got rid of the Great Depression. We're now happy. We took our meds. Um, and then we did a small amount of trolling in New York, which then became a very big amount of trolling, which costed many guns. Like, right now, I'm showing you the most high-tech military equipment that we had. This soldier was super lucky. But yeah, when I was at war with New York, I had just east to conquer left, or occupy. I decided to go to war with all of New England. Very bad idea, but I don't care. I'm a gamer. I'm smart. I have one brain cell at most. So yeah, got rid of New York. Not too hard. Then got pushed back because the horde of New Englanders. So yeah, I got pushed back. Was able to do one encirclement in Connecticut. And then I pushed into Vermont, and the only reason I won the New England War was because I sniped the capitals and just capitulated the northern three. First Vermont, and then Maine. I went through New Hampshire, but they actually were able to hold off because my troops were starving, and well, we had to downgrade our weapons, and I'm showing you the average weapon my troops had on the screen right now. But yeah, we went through Maine. We beat them up after some encirclements and just gamer moments. Um, and then we went through New Hampshire. Then we pushed through Connecticut as we had enough troops to. I don't know. We pushed through probably guns. We got guns from capitulating the northern three. And then we just kind of squeezed Massachusetts, and boom, we had New Jersey. Or not New Jersey. Yeah, we already had that. We have New England now. But yeah, now I had to basically prepare for the Great Lakes War. Probably would have waited longer, but the Ontarians invaded, and I also had enough guns and didn't want to make the video stupid long. But before they invaded, Ohio died to Illinois and Indiana. So that put a wrench into things, as you know, the entire challenge is me conquering Ohio last. But, well, I'll tell you later how I fixed that. So I invaded, mostly just so that the Canadians slash Ontarians didn't take everything, which they did almost. To be honest, wasn't that hard. Indiana had no troops on my border, and Illinois had barely any until basically all they had was Kentucky and Illinois, but I couldn't get to Illinois because the Canadians cut me off from the rest of Illinois, so I just had a pocket. But before I just had the pocket, I had to stop invading I had to stop the invasion because my troops were starving, like normal. They were starving a lot in this campaign. So originally I was gonna build some supply hubs, which would have taken about 130 days. But while I was doing that, I invaded a tile, and it had a supply hub, so I didn't have to worry about supply. So I stopped building those supply hubs because I didn't care, and I just kind of wrecked Illinois because they also were starving, and I wasn't. So my troops actually fought pretty well. Or at least most of my troops weren't starving. Like half of them were though. Yeah, the Ontarians did cut me off from like half of Kentucky and Illinois. And when the war eventually finished, I took the southern part of Kentucky, even though if a war, hypothetically, war with Ontario were to happen, um, I wouldn't be able to reach that land, and the troops there would just get encircled and die. And I took some bits of Ohio and some land next to Chicago. And also, remember the Ohio problem? I fixed that by liberating Ohio and some of their lands. Not all of them, because I wanted to invade the Ontarians, but enough to where, well, they existed and could invade them last. So yeah. I demanded the South become my bit, and I improved relations with Carolina because they were massive and had a massive amounts of troops. So, and surprisingly, they did comply, along with Greater Georgia. Not expecting that at all. I was expecting the blacks to come under me as they were communist, and I was as well. But who cares? I got lucky. And I integrated Carolina, released Tennessee and South Carolina because I didn't want to deal with the rebellions there or the unrest. But used the Carolina Army to man the Kentucky front, which actually was now not encircled. So turns out that was a good idea. And then got another half of my army to man the Ohio front, and then some more to man this front and that small little corridor. And I declared war on Ontario, which was a huge mistake and was not fun at all. I hated it. Basically, my plan was to hold out in the north, maybe take some stuff, I don't know, and use the two main armies, though, to conquer the Great Lakes, and then, you know, deal with Canada, which I hadn't thought that hard about. But, yeah, and that's what I did. But I did a little bit of a bad gamer move, and accidentally didn't guard the entirety of the northern front, and they had a big tile, big splodge there, so I just kind of extended the front line, even though I probably really couldn't. But in retaliation, I took this little panhandle with the, like, 12, 24 troops I had over there. Not that hard, because they didn't have nearly that many. Couldn't finish, you know, the encirclement, since they still had Detroit and Michigan. And also, I don't think I really had that much supply, and they had supply. Yeah, and while I was invading Kentucky and the rest of the Great Lakes with barely any thought whatsoever, and again had to downgrade my weapons from a gun to a stick, I made again another really not poggers move. Like, I forgot to guard the border again, and they invaded through West Virginia. Yeah, when I demanded vacillations from the South, West Virginia didn't accept, and Florida didn't accept, but Florida didn't exist, so I couldn't demand anything from them. But I did invade West Virginia. And they pushed all the way through then and was really close to taking Washington, D.C. And then they did before I got all of the Georgians, the greater Georgia, all of their troops. I just stole all of them as I was their overlord, put them on an army, and just told them to man that front and to close it. Which they did pretty easily once they actually got there. Took back Washington, D.C., went into West Virginia. I think I encircled all of those troops, which were a lot. And then afterwards did another encirclement in like the southern Indiana, Illinois, upper Kentucky area, which I tried really hard to get, but failed many times. But eventually I did get it. And they opened the pocket. And then I closed it again. And I encircled everyone. And I probably killed a lot of people, which is a good thing, because they're Canadians. Yeah, and after that, it wasn't too hard getting the rest of the Great Lakes. Went through Michigan pretty easily. Took Detroit and started, closing the encirclement from earlier, but not really until I got, the entire Great Lakes. Then I had to man the front line with Wisconsin and Minnesota because you remember the Great Lakes War where I wasn't at war with Ontario? Yeah, I was also at war with Wisconsin and Minnesota, so not poggers. They had like 100 troops each. Not really, like 60 to 50 each. It sucked. I hate it. Yeah. Yeah, again, I was dealing with issues from the north, so I took half of the Kentucky Carolina army and put them over there and smashed through them. But beforehand, somehow I was able to take Ontario. And then afterwards, I was able to take Quebec City, maybe before then. Yeah. Got encircled a couple times there and lost a couple troops in that northern Canada, St. Lawrence area. Not northern Canada. But, yeah, went through the little Upper Peninsula and Michigan, put some troops on the border so that Wisconsin didn't immediately push me out. Did my best island hopping campaign I've ever done in this game and went into like the not populated parts of Ontario and then fully ended the encirclement in that panhandle. That's when I did that. Yeah, so after I took those two cities, that little invasion I had in Ontario became really useful because that's where their capital moved, and I took it. And then thinking I was going to win, I didn't. Because this game sucks. And but I did just take a couple more cities, and boom, I was done with Ontario. But no, I still had to finish Minnesota and Wisconsin. Luckily, I think before I was finished with Canada, maybe afterward, I demanded more countries become a part of become my subject. Dakota was one of them, and they got beat. They got beaten very hard by Minnesota. Probably almost died if it wasn't for my horde of subjects. And then, me finishing the war with Ontario, meaning I could just swarm Wisconsin. Which wasn't that easy because, again, got sticks and stones, me break my bones, and that's all my troops could use to break bones and skulls. But yeah, eventually they were starving, but the southern boys stopped starving. And then I just took Wisconsin's capital, and then more cities, and then capitulated them, and then just went straight into Minnesota, penetrated them very hard, and capitulated them. And then I decided to go toward Minnesota, Mississippi, and Oklahoma, because I'm stupid, and they didn't didn't become my puppet. But also while I was doing that, I justified on Ohio, and after 50 days and failing to push anywhere into Mississippi and actually getting pushed out of Arkansas from the combined forces of Mississippi, Louisiana, and Oklahoma. Well, not really pushed out. I actually pushed into Louisiana, but no one cares. Yeah, I invaded Ohio, which was a super hard war, one of the hardest ones. it took so long despite them having literally 0 divisions. They could have built some while they were independent again, but no, they chose not to, and I just had to walk into their main country. Didn't even have to take that little pocket. And boom, the challenge was done. I wasn't going to finish the war with Mississippi because I want to keep my brain as a solid and not a pink mist. And yeah, the challenge was done. I had a pretty big faction, and I had the recording done to finish this video, which you should subscribe. Also to my friends, subscribe to my friends, but most importantly to me. Yeah, see ya later, epic gamers.